Right. So hopefully you already have in front of you two pieces of grid paper, just like I do, and something very small. So um, if you are printing them, any printed grid paper will do. The size of the squares won't really matter for this particular assignment. You can alter the project based on the size of your squares. If you have grid paper in from a book, like one of those grid paper notebooks, that's fine as well. And if you made grid paper with my last YouTube video, by the way, I noticed that flipping it over, it actually looks more like grid paper. So you can flip it over. But if you've made grid paper, you'll still need to have two, or else you'll be a lot more limited as for the size. And then you need something small. I am going with this Yoshi sticker. You can use anything you want though, a phone, a pencil, a coin, a card. A sticker is a great option because you'll be able to draw on top of it. I'm going to use a sticker in order to simplify things for us, but the only rule is it needs to be at least small enough that if it was 3 times bigger, you'd be able to fit it on the page. So a good way to test that is to take your object and put it in the corner of the page and then move it, use the grid space and move it over. So I'm going to take my Yoshi, I'm going to move it here. Okay, then I'm going to move it one more time. Okay, plenty of space and lots of room below. So I know my Yoshi is a good size. Then put your object, you can put it technically anywhere on the page, but if you stick it in the corner, you're going to make your life a lot easier. So I'm going to put mine in the corner. There, my sticker is on. Okay. Now the next thing you'll want to do with your object is trace it, especially if it is something that sticks up that's 3D like a phone. Take your pencil. I'm going to, for the sake of showing you how this all works, I'm going to be using this bright fuchsia color. But you'll want to take your pencil and trace around the object. Okay, I was checking to make sure that that was actually on top, and it was. Trace around the object so that you can pick it up. If you're using a sticker like I am, you don't need to trace around it because you can draw on top. Once you've traced it, move the object and draw it exactly as it is on your grid paper. And if you are using a sticker like I am, you can skip that step and go immediately to the next step. Once you have your object drawn onto the grid paper so that you can draw on top of it, please finish. Okay, so actually, if you are using an object, you're going to need to draw it on the grid paper, and that is your entire step. If you're using a sticker, instead of drawing it, you're going to need to redraw the grid on top. A ruler or a straight object, actually, since you're going to use a straight object, I can too. A ruler or a straight object is the best way for you to do this. I am right now, you can't visibly see it, but I'm using a book to make sure my lines are nice and straight. Okay, again, I'm going to say it one more time just because I want to make sure I'm really clear since there's two different options here and I'm only showing you one. If you are drawing an object, if it's something physical like a phone or a leaf, trace the object, draw in the details on top of the grid. Stickers follow what I'm doing. And okay, so now regardless of which project you have, you should have something that looks like this, an object with a grid over it. This is our scale. This is our 1-to-1 scale. It's the exact same size as the object that you physically have or the original sticker. We are going to use our second sheet of grid paper to make a 3-to-1 scale, meaning that this number 1 back here is the original size, and the 3 is our new size. So the way to do this is first to create count our space. So on my Yoshi, since I've got this pretty big grid, I have quite a bit. I have 1, 2, here, I'll mark them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. Just barely the 6. The 6 will hardly even play into a part, you'll notice as we draw. But I'm still going to count it to simplify my life. Now we need to, since we're going to be multiplying our scale by 3, we need to multiply these numbers by 3. If you don't understand why, chat with your math teachers. So we're going to take the width, which is 5, multiply by 3. That gives us 15. Then we're going to take the height, which is 6, multiply by 3. That gives us 18. So now we're going to count that out on this graph paper. You can put it anywhere you want. I'm going to use this square, so I'm still pretty close to my Yoshi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. By the way, this numbering that I did is actually going to be helpful later on. I would recommend you do the same, but it's totally optional. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's a square, but we need to keep going for 3 more. 16, 17, 18. Okay, now I am going to use my ruler to mark out the space that this Yoshi takes up. So I'm going to find the bottom of, here's my 15, here's the edge of it. I'm going to follow my pencil down, and then I've got my book in place to hold it still. I'm going to draw a nice line across. Okay, and then flip that over to the side so we can mark this side. All right, now we have our space to draw our Yoshi. Now, we have more gridding to do, so you're going to keep your pencil. I do actually, I'm thinking about it now, if you have a colored pencil or a colored pen or just a regular pen, any kind of something that's going to be different than the color of your ruler, I would recommend using that. Now, our size is 3 to 1, right? The Yoshi is going to be 3 times as big as this Yoshi. And that is because every single square is going to be 3 times as big. We need to make our grid 3 times as big. So I'm going to come down here to the 3, and I'm going to draw. Ooh! I'm going to erase that because that was wibbly wobbly. I'm going to draw a line. 1, 2, 3, every 3 boxes. Remember how I said those numbers help? Whoa, gosh. Remember how I said those numbers were going to help us? You can also look for the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 15, and 18. And of course, oh, 3, 6, 9, 12. Gosh, I hope at least one of you caught that and was like, come on, Miss Hendricks. I would assume that those of you with homemade grid paper or grid paper from a math book, your grid is going to look smaller than mine. That's fine. That just means that you'll have a lot more lines to mark out. Okay. And again, because this is a video and I'm teaching, I'm going to reduce the opacity of my grid paper to help us out here. Okay, that looks more like grid paper anyway. Oh, get rid of this. Okay, so now that we have our new grid drawn in place, this pink grid right here is the same grid that's on top of Yoshi's face. So now the setup is done, and now we can start to actually draw. This is the technique that I call gridding. And some of you may remember from 5th grade with me, we did a gridding project once. So I'm going to switch back to a gray, a dark gray for you to follow along. And I'm going to look at this first grid, this 1x1 square. And the 1x1 square has a teeny tiny curve right in the corner there. So I'm going to put that teeny tiny curve in place. And because I'm being particular, I'm also going to put in place the outline right there. Now for the 2x1, it curves and the highest it goes is about halfway. So it picks up where the other space left off. I'm going to pick up where I left off, curve up, curve a little down, do the same with my other outline. By the way, I thought about doing something more complex because you totally can. You can do whatever you want with gridding, but for the sake of this video, I'm not. I'm going a little bit easier. And then over here, the same thing. By the way, one other tip, if it's easier for you to draw freehand to say, okay, Yoshi's got this shape, curve it around like this, woo, you can do that, but you'll need to go in and check. And actually, that wasn't half bad, but so to show you both techniques, and because my circle was almost perfect, I'm going to show you what I would do now after freehanding. After you freehand a line, you need to check it. Let's check our 2x1. 2x1, it starts at the top, ends near the middle. Yes, it does. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put in this other side of the line. The one underneath it comes in through the top and ends over on the side. Yeah, it does not. Okay, so I did mess up. So I'm going to get my eraser, erase the part I messed up, and adjust from there. This is why I strongly recommend if you are going to freehand, you have to be patient because you're going to have to make changes and fixes as you go. Okay, and then this black part of the line comes through on the corner, comes through down below and back up again, comes through down below and back up again. And then we have this big smile that connects down below. This one skirts along the edge and stops halfway where Yoshi's smile dimples out into the next square. So what I'm doing is a gridding technique where I'm following by the lines instead of going square to square. If following what I'm doing is too hard, instead you should go square, move along. So you can follow lines, which is close to freehand, related to freehand. Or you can go square by square. I like to teach square by square because it's the foolproof way, but follow lines is what I instinctively do. So I'm going to go back to square by square, and we already did this square. The square is done. We can check it off if you want to. The next square, 2x1. We have this line, but now we need to put in the nostrils. So I would see where they are in the first one and draw it 3 times bigger. Check. Next one, we need to put in the beginning of his eye. The beginning of the eye starts right in the middle and it curves up right at the top. Put in that outline. This outline is a lot darker because we also have his eyelid. And then put in the eyeball itself, the pupil, and the reflection on it. Oh my goodness, starting to look like Yoshi. Check. Next one, 4x1. We would continue this shape over and down. Let's actually start by putting in this second eye. I think that would help us more. Up to the top. Over. And you'll notice that this Yoshi eye stops a little bit before the edge. Okay. Now this is looking more like my Yoshi. He has no eyeball in this particular eye. And check. Curve it down over here. Hardly any green visible in this square. That's it for that square. Check. We've already done this one. Check. There's nothing to do in this one. Check. This one, oh, we already did because I got excited and went ahead of myself. And then this one over here, we've got that smile that I finished when I was doing the follow lines technique. Come around here, up, and put in the oval right in the middle with the little circle, and then just barely finish the head and a teeny tiny bit there. Check. And then the last one I'm going to do for today for the purposes of our video. The head, the base of his eye has a little part that sticks out before it gets to the big swell of the cheek. Now we have the big swell of the cheek. My lines are a little off, aren't they? So I'm going to adjust on the one square. And then his eyelid comes down there. And the very first spike stays along the top. Comes down here. Put in our outline. And we have the line of the outline of the circle he's on. Check. Okay. My Yoshi is 2/3 complete. I still have the middle of his face, and which actually, because I've already drawn it, check, check, check. I may as well just swipe it in. Follow this white of the face, which goes all the way and touches the top. Has a teeny tiny corner. Comes down here. This is where the cheek is about 1/3 of the way in. Ends at the corner. Notice how I'm being very meticulous about noticing where things start, where things end, using words like corner and halfway and third. Things like that are going to help me and help you put your drawings in the correct proportion. Proportion is the name of the game for this assignment. Proportion. And this circle goes almost all the way to the edge. Okay, now that truly is where I'm going to stop for today because I don't want you following along. I want you to do your own scale drawing. So let me just break it out one more time for your steps, make them written and clear, which they'll also be in the YouTube description. Number 1, get your paper. Number 2, 2A is put sticker on. 2B is put object on and trace. 3A, draw lines over sticker. 3B, draw object in traced area. Doing a phone or something would be very easy for this project. 4, now we're at the same place for both of them. Count grid on 1-to-1 reference, which that is either your sticker or your drawing. multiply grid by 3 and space on second page. And then 6, that was drawing in this grid. Okay, so I'm going to put that in as well. Draw in grid. And then 6 is use square by square or follow lines to create a 3:1 scale drawing. Ta-da! Okay, I'm excited to see what you do, what you guys make. If you have questions, ask me, Mr. Edvik, Miss Fouts, Miss Kat, Miss Amber, any of your paras, any of your teachers. We'd be happy to help. This is a really important technique, so I hope you give it your best shot. Okay, bye guys.